Chemical sensitivities, autoimmune issues, chronic illness don't just happen in the body. They're the body's way of expressing what's unresolved in the mind. Years of religious trauma, fear, guilt, shame create a prison so deep that it doesn't just shape your thoughts and emotions, it shows up physically as sensitivities, pain, and illness. And when medicine can't explain it or heal it, people are stepping outside of the system and finding real healing through Robert's work. In this episode of the Robert Jean Experience, Robert Jean is a neuroplastician, behavioral engineer, and creator of Eutactics and FasterEFT. He's also known as the Einstein of the mind. He reveals why so many professionals are drawn to his work when conventional medicine falls short. You'll also hear from a special guest who shares her powerful story of freedom from years of chemical sensitivities, chronic illness, and proof that healing is possible. So if you've been told just to manage your symptoms, this conversation will change your mind.
Wow,
Hi.
this is a really good one. I'm telling you, I've seen so many people over many years. I've been doing this work for 25, 26 years now. And a majority of the people who come to Eutactics, FasterEFT, are coming sick, physical ill, chemical sensitivity, lupus, Hashimoto's disease, back pain, physical pains, traumas, all kinds of weird things that happen in their life. And again, when you try certain things, you've got a gene problem. You got some kind of disorder, or there's something malfunctioning in the body. So you either will cut it out or drug it up. And of course, that's not our model. And of course, my model is working with this big topic starts with neuroplasticity, how the brain works and the structure of the mind. So it's going to be a good one, Crystal.
It is, and it's going to be about religious trauma and physical illness. And we have a special guest later on that is going to join us. But can you talk a little bit about the effects and what it does to a person?
Well, let me just let's just say early childhood emotional trainings. It's really interesting too. We talk about, even though some people have religious traumas and non-religious traumas, and some people have the same programming. So the impact as a child when they're growing up, they have what you call influences. Again, some people have religious influences. You're guilty, you're a bad person, you may die and go to hell, you got to do what I say, etc. But others may not. Some children will be sitting on grandma's lap, and grandma's telling her horror stories about war and how people were killed and people do this and people do that and horror things, or they talk about their own sexual, physical, emotional abuse to a child. And this carves a world that makes a scary world for a child. And back in the old days, when we talk about Grimm's fairy tales, if you look at the Grimm's fairy tales, Cinderella, for example, cruelty of a stepmother and stepsisters, who treated Cinderella as a servant, being left alone and unloved in her own home. Sisters and they mutilated their toes, try to get their feet into the shoe.
The slipper, yeah.
Yeah, and the slipper, Snow White, Queen's jealousy and her attempts to kill Snow White. Now, these are for something you read to children, especially a poison apple, or the huntsman being ordered to kill Snow White and bring back her heart. These are what your children know. Children reading these things, Hansel and Gretel, abandoned in a forest, scared all alone by their parents. Their parents left them. And of course, the dark, eerie forest and the fear of being lost. The witch's plan was to eat them and to cook them in the oven. That's a great story to tell your children. Rapunzel, all of these different things. Scary, scary. The Frog and the Prince, Little Red Riding Hood, the wolf tricking Little Red Riding Hood and eating her grandmother, the wolf pretending to be the grandmother, trying to eat Little Red Riding Hood too. As a child, you're watching this. Does this create safety and security?
Not at all. No.
I mean, all of these,
Yes. Well, even if we watch a movie today, what I find that, and I know I need to clean this up as you're talking about this, but I find that when a movie is unfair, I will shut it off. I cannot go any further. This is unfair. This is BS. I'll shut the thing off.
Yeah. All of these impact a child's world and how they see the world.
Yes.
The fisherman and his wife. Stormy seas growing more dangerous with each wish. The fear of losing everything and being left with nothing. The wife's endless greed. Might feeling overwhelmed or unsettling. So all of these are stories to scare people. And if you raise a child to be afraid, they grow up to be afraid. You raise a child being guilty, blamed, helpless, or the child has to fix the parent. And the parent says, well, if you hadn't done that, I wouldn't feel so bad. Again, the child takes on the guilt and the responsibility of fixing the parent. All of these impact your identity, your value. It creates who you think you are in the world. And then you wonder why you grow up being afraid, low self-esteem, fearful, guilt, shame, humiliation, fear of being hurt and harmed. All of these are really horrific as a child. So sometimes we say, look at little Johnny. Why does Johnny act so bad? Little Johnny's just scared. He's terrified. I work with children, or I say young, adult children. Like here's one, a young man in Ireland. He could write his name perfectly backwards on the snow. He's diagnosed with dyslexia. And of course, they want me to help him. And of course, I understand how the brain works. I understand how these are created. So here it is, this little boy. And I said, well, have him write 100 things he hates about school. The parent said, that's impossible. I said, just to do it. So he came back within 15 minutes, had 100 things he hated about school. Now, again, he hated school because of being picked on. He hated this. He hated this. He felt like this. All of these are emotional traumas. And so I cleaned those up. And when I was done, that boy was a limp doll, and they carried him, tucked him in bed. Next thing in the morning, a bizarre occurrence occurred. He was dressed and ready for school. That's never happened. So here he was, the lowest of the kids in class, the lowest. And the next thing I heard, they want to move him up. He's up in the upper grades now, and they want to move him from the normal class to the gifted smart class.
Oh, wow.
And then he had another trauma. The trauma is I'm going to leave my friends. So we addressed that too. So again, it is the emotional intensity of your world environment. Some people are born with a mean brother or sister, a crazy psychotic mother, an emotionally controlling father, sister, aunt, uncle, an abusive grandpa, uncle, whoever. These create and carve out our fears, identity, and our worries. They're all changeable. And so that's why we do what we do. Your behavior is not broken. It's tailored to the resources that you have within yourself. And they can change. Your self-esteem will change. Your identity will change. Your behavior will change. And your world will change. So this is what we do with Eutactics, knowing how to change the self.
Powerful.
Really, it's about how we operate in the world. And our early trainers or give us identity and value, could be religions, could be from your brother who picked on you, who hated you and didn't like you because you took his favored place. It could be an emotional psychotic mother, an angry, pissed off dad. It could be a lot of things. But these impact our identity and value, and also shapes the world and how we see it from that point forward. If your mother or your father or any of your siblings or anybody in your life treated you as if you were nothing and a nobody, and you start out your whole life, you're a worthless piece of crud. You'll never amount to anything. Even if you are successful, even if you're doing great things, you're still a nobody inside. And it's hard to accept a compliment. It's hard to push yourself forward as if you're somebody because inside you've been emotionally indoctrinated to believe you're a nobody. Now, the crazy thing is, all of this grows up into a big, great production. And that it could most likely will be illness, panic attacks, fears and phobias. It could be chemical sensitivities. It could be suicidal events. It could be heavy depression. It could be all kinds of things.
Yeah, that's right. So once the brain captures this information, and now that is your early childhood trainings, that's a part of you, what is the connection? What is the connection with this early childhood training and illness?
Yeah, well, I had a recent experience. I just came back from Hawaii. And of course, I'm going to Hawaii and I feel like I have a heart attack. I mean, my tightness in my chest and all this stuff. I go, what is this? What's triggering this? Is it the smell? What's going on? Is I having a heart attack? And so I'm breathing and I'm saying, you're okay, it's okay. And I'm talking to myself and I get on the plane and I arrive at the destination and I go back and say, what was that? What was that? Was I having a heart attack? What was the problem? And I'm smart enough to know it's a program. I didn't know where it was coming from at that time. So I asked myself, what bad things happened? What is there any trauma, any bad experience at the airport? And it's not really a bad thing, but it was an impactful thing. And that is I've been dropped off at one gate. I had like 2 minutes to get way on the far side of the other world. This old fat man running through the airport, huffing and puffing. And I get to the gate. I feel like I'm going to die, literally.
Mhm.
And I did this myself. Did I tap on that then? No. I just experienced it. And so I'm at the destination. I'm cleaning this up. I'm changing my memory, change the reference. And then I go back to Oklahoma. Same airport, same everything. Guess what? Zero.
Mhm.
Zero. But as I was going to the airport, I'm smart enough to know to clean up every aspect. So when I get to the airport, I notice anything. And watching my emotional thoughts, my body reaction. So as I went through there, I cleaned up everything and it was completely fine. But this is what the brain does. If you had physical trauma or emotional trauma, if you witness horrible things, your brain will take this in. It's going to use it somewhere.
Mhm.
And that's where it starts to make you sick. It's trying to protect you, actually.
Yeah, right. So imagine you didn't have the tools, or I mean, you created this program. I mean, you created
Yeah.
the system. But for the people that don't have this system and they don't know what to do, if they would go to a doctor with chemical sensitivities, just like the anxiety you felt in your chest, the doctor could very easily say, "Hey, it's in your
Yeah.
head," and go about your day. But
Hmm.
so this is people with chemical sensitivities. I did research on it, and many of them are told it's all in your head, and they feel dismissed and they feel misunderstood.
Yeah.
So can you talk about the difference between it's all in your head, and what you teach, that the body expresses the mind, or that
Yeah.
the
So,
mind,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. See, that's a big misnomer people talk about. The body keeps the score. It doesn't. It expresses the score. The scorekeeper is the brain and the memories. And so, again, if you keep looking at the body as a problem, which is, by the way, churches look at the body as a problem, doctors look at the body as a problem, psychology will look at your body and your everything, there's something wrong. I mean, you think about it. If you go to the gas station, you're pumping gas, and you see somebody get killed or hurt in front of you, and you're having panic attacks and night sweats, you go to the psychologist, they're going to say, you've got a disorder. All of a sudden, you witness something, and your brain don't work anymore. It ain't working. But
Mhm.
in reality, they don't really understand the process of memories and how the brain is trying to keep you safe. And so that's where the big misnomer is. And if you keep chasing processes and thinking it's a chemical problem, by the way, there's no chemical test to see why you're depressed. That's a sales technique the big pharma created.
Mm.
All right. So again, doctors are great people, nurses are great people, but they do what they're trained to do. If you got a bone sticking out, go to the doctor. If
Mhm.
you go in, you got ulcers in your body, and the doctor says, "Well, you got a bad stomach." Well,
Right.
he has a hammer and he's looking for nails. So he's like, your stomach's wrong. He's not going to say any stress and anxiety going on. Is there anything bothering you? Any traumas going on in your life? Because you know what? Doctors can't fix that. And you go to psychologists, they can't either. I mean, people spend 10, 20 years talking about the same stuff and it's still there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So in regards to chemical sensitivities, many people online, they are talking about it's the perfume, it's what's in the food, it's
Mhm.
the cleaners. And so from your perspective, what's really happening when someone is reacting to chemicals?
Right. Let's just add a little bit more to chemical sensitivities, food sensitivities, what 5G sensitivity, I don't know what to call that, wave sensitivities, what are you gonna call that? All of
Frequency.
frequency, that's it, frequency, and yeah, and also people's emotions, people's emotions. All of these are built from the brain's understanding of the world. Now, every person I've ever worked with who had these, I say successes, these issues, We go back to their life, go back to their childhood, and we step into their world, and you'll discover they have a world of emotional toxicity, fighting, arguing parents. They can feel the atmosphere of anger, hurt, and rage from the other side of the room. And so they feel like they're emotionally under attack, or they feel there's no safety, no security in their world. So this becomes a model of the world, or I would call it an imprinted value system, because this is the real world. And from this real world, they're going to take this world to college. They're going to take to grade school. And if they have if they're really good at it, they come say religion or some horror story family. And then you know what they're going to do? They're going to leave that one, and they're going to go, like somebody said, I come from a dysfunctional family. I said, first of all, there's no such thing. You come from a family who functioned, and it functioned so well, you're going to marry someone just like that. Mm-hmm. And then you'll go find a job that supports that environment. And over time, it compounds, and now you can do it by yourself, locked in a room, so afraid to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. This is how the brain works. Now, the solution to solving the problem, that this is not a problem, it's a very successful, undesirable outcome created by the most intelligent part about you, as I call it, the intelligent idiot, which is your limbic operating system and your subconscious. It learned how to survive the jungle, and you brought the jungle with you. And how to solve this is really simple. Change, update memories. If you don't know how to do that, you're screwed.
Well, you have to learn it somewhere, but I know on our podcast you have taught about this over and over again. You have shown we have talked about it. So there are podcasts to refer back to where we go into more of the specifics about memories. But Robert, today we have a special guest joining us, and she is sharing her testimony from freedom of years of sensitivities, autoimmune issues, fibromyalgia. So welcome here, Phyllis. It is so good to have you here.
Hi, how are you? I'm so glad to be here too. Thanks.
Share who you are and where you are, and a quick synopsis. How long ago did you start Eutactics? How long you been sick? And then tell a little bit about your journey.
So my name is Phyllis McDonald Mattie. I grew up in a little fishing village, Newfoundland, Canada. And right now I'm living in Mexico, me and my husband, almost 30 years ago when my son was born. And I felt like every bone was broken. I did. That's how I felt. The pain was excruciating. It was almost like when I would walk, it was almost like my muscles were being torn away from my bones. The pain was so bad. And I almost died. I was fighting for my life. And I've also learned that once you face the possibility of your own demise, the world changes too, so that was a big trauma. But when I started working on, kept looking, it was a long time. I was in a very abusive relationship at the time. It was, I was very subdued, very submissive, even though I was a nurse. It was crazy. My nursing career kind of kept me in the abuse, because I was able to wear a different hat when I went to church and when I went to work, and when I came home, I took it off. So at work, I was a very strong, self-driven person, but when I came home, I was very subservient, very, quiet. So once I started, I got sick. Over time, I developed I would have a bladder infection, and then I would have a fungal infection, and I was on antibiotics, and I was on all this stuff. Then I started having, wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't, from the pain and everything, I was starting to become exhausted all the time. Anxiety became a thing. I never really knew what anxiety was until after that, before that, like not really knowing what it was. I think I did have anxiety, but not to the extent that I had, after that event with my son. So I became When I met Robert, finally, I was housebound. I was bedridden. I thought that I would, in 2012, I left work in February of 2012. I thought I would take a couple months off from just to give myself a time to recoup. And what had been happening leading up to that was I would go to work at 7 in the morning for a 12-hour shift. And by 9 or 10, I was exhausted. And I started not being able to remember. I would try and transfer a doctor's order onto the patient's chart, and I couldn't remember. I had to look at it 4 and 5 times to remember what I was writing. And the only reason I left work was because I was afraid of, it wasn't to help myself, it was, I was afraid of hurting someone else, my patients. That's the main reason I left work, even after all that. So I was not sleeping. I had food sensitivities. I had IBS, hormonal imbalances, depression set in, panic. Once I started at home, once I left work, for me, it was really hard. I went into nursing at 17 and, worked for almost 30 years. And all of a sudden, I didn't know who I was. I was at home dealing with this illness that no doctor could even tell me what was wrong. So I had been totally entrenched into the medical system, totally entrenched, medications, and that's how, from 17 on, that's all I knew. I didn't know all these other things that were out there and possible. And so I, when I left work and the first 6 months I was home, I think I didn't get better. I saw all kinds of doctors, and I started having assessments done to really dig into what was wrong with me. Most of the doctors I saw were doctors I work with. They were fellow colleagues, and all they ever told me was, Phil, you have fibromyalgia, you have chronic fatigue, and you're going to have to learn to live with this. There's no cure. All your blood work's normal. All your tests that come back normal. I went to pain clinics. I went to so I couldn't believe that over this period of time that the medical system that I had dedicated the majority of my life to at that point, most of my life, couldn't help me. Had no answers. Like, they had no answers. And it was also very different to learn to be, I was the nurse in that setting. Whenever I go to a hospital, I was the caregiver. I was the one who helped people. I was the one who helped fix people. Being a patient on the other side, you saw a very different world. And it was very hard. And it was very hard going to a hospital where I had worked with all these people and been respected as a nurse. And I've also been the nurse side where I've seen people come in with those diagnoses who had never been really treated with respect, or that it wasn't real. And so I went on, the only thing they could offer me was medications. I became, the MCS kind of started about 6 months after I had left work in 2012. And it started with just a bang one day. I remember I was getting up from my bed. So I was kind of housebound. I really didn't go very far because of the pain. I wasn't getting better, even though I changed my diet. I looked into all these different modalities. I saw naturopaths, I saw chiropractors, I saw osteopaths. I did all those things that I thought, maybe I'll get some benefit. And so I was doing all the things. I got rid of, anything toxic in our home. And the day that MCS came about, or I became aware something else was wrong, I was getting up from my bed, and we used your basic Tide, all that stuff. And I all of a sudden couldn't tolerate the smell of my bed sheets or the clothes I had on. It was like, it was just someone was injecting it up into my nostrils. I was getting loopy, like lightheaded. I didn't know what was happening to me. And I remember telling my husband then, I said, we have to strip the bed and let's just wash it in baking soda. I don't know what's happening to me. But so again, when I went to my doctors, my family doctor, it was again, oh, it's all in your, nothing they could do, all in your head. You're just going to learn to live with all this, Phil, and they prescribed certain medications. I tried them initially, and I still had teenage boys at home, 2 teenage boys, and there were some medications they would give me. I'd be so out of it, I would almost fall out of bed. So I was just stopped. I had to be at least a with it mom to, with having children still, right? I just couldn't. And so fast track to, so the MCS put on such a big layer. It's almost like I was being pushed further and further into this major ditch, and I just was sinking. It was quicksand down there. And so the fibromyalgia, I thought that was the most debilitating thing I could have, and the fatigue. But once the MCS started, I couldn't even be around. My friends couldn't even come visit.
Wow.
So I lost my identity as a nurse. I lost a lot of my friends, that social interaction. It was very limited where I could go with the MCS. I can remember Gary and if I went shopping, and I wore a mask. I found these masks that had carbon filters, and I wore a mask whenever I left home, and I that's how I lived my life. And I noticed that I would meander. I started meandering. If I went to a store, I would start meandering around people because I was afraid of what they would bring with them to me, perfume, laundry detergent, or whatever, deodorant. And but I would get, with these scents, I would get so, because people say it was all in your head, but for me it was so real. Excuse me, I have to take a sip of water. I would get lightheaded. I would get so off kilter and dizzy, I wouldn't know how to get out of a store almost. That's how debilitating it was for me. So it was just this, neurological thing. It was so bad. And I would get headaches with it. And yeah, it was bad. So when I met, so that was in 2012. When I met Robert, or found Robert, I had done all these modalities. I had gone to pain clinics for the fibromyalgia. I had xylocaine injected into my veins. I can't believe still that I allowed someone.
What is that?
Xylocaine is what they give you if they're going to give you sutures. So if you go to Emerge, you had to get sutures, they put xylocaine, or to the dentist to deaden everything.
Okay.
I had IV infusions of xylocaine.
Wow.
That's how desperate I was to get rid of the pain, because no matter pain and the MCS and everything, it's like a siren going off in your brain before you even get up to start the day.
Yes, and I have a
Like
question
this
for Robert.
siren, like it's just yelling at you, right? And so I became so depressed, so depleted in every aspect of my life. I couldn't be the mother I wanted to be to my boys. It was so hard, so painful. I couldn't be the wife I wanted to be to my husband. We had to get a housekeeper. My husband worked away a lot, and I had to get a housekeeper to come and help me every couple of weeks. I would have enough energy sometimes to cook up a bunch of meals all at once and stick them in the fridge for my kids and things like that. So the medical system gave me zero hope. Just take these drugs. This is who you are now. I was 46 years old. This is how you are going to live the rest of your life. When I left work, that's what I was told when all the diagnoses. So I kept searching because I'm stubborn. I kept searching all that time. I did the wheatgrass things. I did all the, and with the MCS, I got rid of all the chemicals in my home. We got rid of all the chemicals. I didn't do all that by myself. My husband and I went very natural, very clean, and to this day I still make my own stuff, you know. Uh, so when I found Robert, I was depressed. It was in November of 2014. So leading up to November, August, September, I had turned 50 that year. I was so depressed. I couldn't see the point of waking up every day anymore. What was my purpose? I didn't know what my purpose was anymore. I had no life. I had nothing to look forward to, only pain and isolation. Uh, my husband, he was working in Australia at the time. His job took him away a lot. And that's the way that it was. I didn't have any family really around where I was. I had a couple friends who were still loved me enough. They still came around, which was wonderful. So I was very isolated, and I was still dealing with co-parenting with a narcissistic, toxic ex-husband.
So here it is. You have this world right there. Emotionally, the way it sounds like you're trapped in a sick world, scared world. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Yeah, very scared. It was all fear-based. It was
Yeah.
all, yeah. My home should have been my sanctuary, my place to heal, my safety, and I wasn't. I just kept getting sicker. And I learned through working with you, Robert, and your teachings and your tactics that it didn't matter what I did. If I did not address the emotional pain that I had suffered, I just couldn't heal. And when I met Robert, I don't think I was suicidal, but I had no will to live. I was so desperate. Every day when Gary and I spoke, uh, I was just crying. I cried but one thing was funny. I would always pull myself together for my kids. I would never let them see me as bad as I was. I would always pull myself together for them. And that's how smart the subconscious mind is, right? I can't hurt them.
Yeah.
So, but I would fall apart. And so I was falling apart. I knew I was in a place that I was so desperate that I was afraid for myself. I had no suicide plan or no plan of doing anything, but I was afraid. I was afraid, and I had lost the will to live.
One of the things I do is I know that we have what you call imprints and life patterns. So here it is. You have this world that you were miserable, trapped. And then I say, I see the pattern all the way back to as a little child. Remember your pattern as a child? How did you feel then?
Mm-hmm.
The same thing.
Absolutely.
Trapped, helpless, no way out. And then you got into a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
How was that one?
Awful.
Same
Trapped,
thing, wasn't it?
helpless. Yeah. I had a severe religious trauma when I was a child. And I never addressed it. I didn't know it was there, but I knew that anytime people talked about death or anything like that, I was really scared and things like that. So my life, I thought I had a normal childhood growing up. We were kind of the well-to-do people in town. My father was a businessman, and we had all the new clothes, a nice house, and the first TV and things like that. So we were, the well-to-do kids, and that in itself gives you the idea that you can never complain about anything. But as I went on through life, grew up, I had a daughter at 16. I went into training, nursing school. I nursed for 30 years and almost 30 years. And my first marriage was very abusive, emotionally, physically, uh, every which way you can look at it. It was very abusive.
So if you've been struggling and you're not sure what step to take next, Robert offers a free strategy call. We will help you get crystal clear on how to move forward, We will create a roadmap for you to help you start seeing real change in your life. And you really do deserve results.
And also, guys, do sign up, check, subscribe, ring the bell. I got lots of stuff everywhere. I have little, podcasts. I've got videos. I got trainings, free stuff. Just do something, move forward and create a better life. So learn to love yourself, like yourself from inside yourself, because what you do up here, you do to others. When you set yourself free, you become truly free to be the real you, which is just a creator and a manifester. Create something you want instead of what you don't want. Make peace with your head.
So then I started on the journey of figuring out, why. That is kind of the instigator of why I went to find out why, because I started feeling so bad. So that was 32. So that's almost like 30 years ago, right? And I'm 61 now. And so what I learned about, for me, religion, when I was a little girl, my mother was Pentecostal, my father was Catholic. It was a very small town, 1,000 people. There were 7 different denominational churches in this little town. So very divided, religions and things like that. There was just a handful of Catholics there. We were kind of raised Catholic. So I went to different churches with my friends growing up, right? And I was exposed to all these different religions, but it was told to me, all these different religions told me that as a Catholic, because my father was Catholic, my mother was Pentecostal, that I was going to go to hell. There was no chance for me, that I didn't deserve God, and it was awful to tell a child that. I look back on it now, but I didn't know why. I just always knew I avoided God, and I avoided talking about this fear, because it seemed so crazy to me that even as I grew as an adult, that I actually believed this, but it was so deep and so real for me. So, as a child, so this kept happening. And my brother was just 11 months older than me. He would get beat up almost every day at school. I'd see him beat up because, we were called dirty Romans. And they beat him up mainly because of that, a lot of times. So I saw that. No one ever touched me, because I guess I was a girl, but I still got called a dirty Roman, and it always was so fear-based all the time. I can remember as a little girl going to bed at night, and your mother would come in and say your prayer with you, as I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep if I should die. It would instill so much fear into me. I don't even know if I slept as a child. The anxiety and the fear of knowing that no matter what I did in life, no matter how hard I worked to be a good girl when I was little, or a good human as I grew up, it was pointless. And it seems, for somebody probably listening to this now, it seems so irrational and probably so out there, but it's kind of molded I lived a fear-based life all my life. I just learned it, truly at 50 through doing this work with Robert, that that is not God. That's not what God is about. It was, right now, so it impacted my health. It impacted how I viewed everything in my life. It just, nothing felt safe. Once I started this process and started learning about this, and using Robert's techniques, I healed so quickly. It was incredible. I healed from so many different symptoms and illnesses, and from being isolated and bedbound, that it was insane. It really was, but it was miraculous. It was truly miraculous. So today, this year is my anniversary, my 10-year anniversary of meeting Robert and his in Eutactics, and putting it into practice. this fall. Yes, it'll be 10 years. And I have the best relationship with God now. Journey has been incredible. It took a long time for me to actually even, I remember when the year 2000 came around, and we were always told as kids, oh, the world will end in the year 2000 and it's going to be shortened and all this. And, there were all these things. If it was a thunder and lightning storm, God is mad, and that's when he could come. So anytime I listened to thunder and lightning, or it was a storm, I was so scared. Not because of the power going out, but because I was going to burn in hell's flames. It was awful. And I lived like that all my life. But now we get so many incredible thunder and lightning storms here. I sit outside and watch them now, and I thank God every day that I can do that. But I could never have done that without Robert's teachings. I could never have done that. I was so sick that I don't even think, like, this is 10 years later. When I first met Robert and Eutactics, I didn't think I'd live another year. And here I am.
Wow.
It was bad. It was so bad. And it was just, and when you do the work and you really become obsessed about the work, like make it your mission to heal, anybody can do this work.
Mhm.
Can. Fear was a driver for me, a major drive the majority of my life. Deep religious pain and fear was awful. I look to the Father for all this comfort that I never ever knew was possible. And it's all because of Robert using his technique and being persistent.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was, despite what happened and what transpired in my marriage, it was still my white picket fence.
Yeah.
Dream as a child, and I had
Yeah.
children, and so it was all this trapped feeling. It's like that meme you see of the cat in the crate that has no cover, but it doesn't know how to get out. And I didn't know how. I didn't know how. And so Gary and I finally made a decision that he would plan to come home, because I needed help. I was desperate. I didn't trust the medical system anymore, because a lot of people have asked, well, if you were so desperate, why didn't you go get help at the hospital? I didn't trust them anymore because nothing helped me. I just got worse and worse. And so when Gary was planning to come home from Australia, so one night, it was a Saturday night, I'll never forget it. I was all about reading. I have been a perpetual learner all my life. I love to read. I love to learn. Very factual, I'm still that way today. But I never went on YouTube to look at anything. It just wasn't, I just never did. So Saturday night, I remember I was home alone and I started putting in anxiety, MCS, chronic fatigue. And all this list of things came up. EFT was there, and then I saw this FasterEFT, and I thought to myself, what is that? Because if it's faster, I'm going to go for it. So I looked into it, and then I started watching some videos of Robert. I started reading about what he was talking about, and watching these videos. And the first feeling I had toward Robert was extreme anger.
Oh boy.
Because he kept saying, you're doing it to yourself. And I was like, I remember I stopped the video. I got so mad. I was like, how would I do this to me? Right? I have these beautiful children, this wonderful husband. Why would I do this to myself? So then as I went on and I learned more and listened to more, thank God I didn't throw down the iPad. I listened more. And I learned that it was our subconscious mind that did it. And until we become friends with our subconscious mind and get to know it, we can never truly heal. All these patterns from childhood will follow us. And so I started tapping. I told Gary about it. I said, This man tells me I'm doing it to myself. I don't know that I really like him yet, but I'm going to start tapping. I did. I said I'm going to do it because like I said, being entrenched in a medical system from age 17, well, from childhood, because my parents always took us to doctors for any ailments. It was all, I never knew that there was this way of healing. Emotional, mental well-being was never, even as a nurse, and it was never talked about very much. So I started tapping, and boy, did I release a lot of emotion. I listened to everything that I learned from Robert. I made up my peace list, started my happy journal. When I started, I didn't have one happy memory, and I have had an incredible life.
Hmm.
Despite all of this, I have had an incredible life, and I didn't have one happy memory because everything was just so burdened down with everything else, right? Fear had just taken over, and the illnesses. And so I started tapping every day. And within 2 weeks, the MCS was gone. I couldn't believe it. So I would tap on the religious things. I tapped on my childhood. And no matter what you tap on that's happening to you now, it will always bring you back to your childhood. There were so many times I just went back to the same event that was happening in my life, whether it be at home with my family, in church, or where it would always go back there. No matter, there was no way my subconscious would not let me heal anything unless I went right back to my childhood. And it was an incredible process. Robert would talk about how sometimes your subconscious would just flip a memory. And it did for me. It would just flip in my head, and it was incredible. And I was like, I wanted to preach it to the world, like this was happening to me. So the first thing I noticed that left was the MCS. I never had much in my house to test it with, but I would still try and go to the grocery store, do those things. But I'd wear a mask. Sometimes I'd wear 2 masks to go to the grocery store. I'd have my list. I would only get what I needed, and I'd leave and come home.
Wow. What was the emotional connection with the
Pardon me?
MCS? What was the
Yeah.
emotional connection?
The emotional connection with the MCS, I think I just felt so unsafe in the world that it just kept making my world smaller. And
Right.
MCS made my world so small because the fear
Right.
was so big. It became so big because I wasn't equipped with the tools to
Right.
fix it.
I think another thing I see, that the toxic narcissistic husband,
Oh, yes.
and then of course your sensitivity was people, stay away from people,
Mhm.
toxic, and then of course your world became very small when you went home, and it
Yeah.
got smaller. You couldn't have your friends. You couldn't do anything.
No.
So then it even got more. I mean, by the way, MCS was trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you
Was.
away from people,
Yeah.
away from things. And by the way, as a nurse, you mentioned earlier, as a nurse, we talk about, you had the helpless feeling as a little girl, and you're scared and all this stuff. And then, of course, you had a scared relationship, but also your job had a lot of emotional traumas too.
A lot. There was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even think I've even touched on a lot of the stuff in nursing, and it's funny how the mind kind of will work on the stuff that's important,
Hmm.
as it goes along. And but yeah, everything goes back to like why I chose a husband like I did. Why it all goes back to my childhood, my home environment.
Hmm.
I had very loving parents, very good parents, but there was not a lot of being able to talk about how you feel if you were scared, or your worth in my life was dependent on what you accomplished in the run of the day.
Mhm.
And that's not saying, like my father was a wonderful man, kind and very hard worker, but he was negligent a lot. He wasn't around a lot. My mother had experienced a lot of trauma in her life, and physical, emotional, all these different things. And she was always, so whenever there was a problem or whenever she got mad, it didn't matter who uh, was angry at. Um, we all kind of got the brunt of it. So I learned very young that in order to get the love that I needed or needed in my life, that I had to never show that I was weak, never show that I was scared. I became the maid in our house. There was three of us. My brother is older, me, and then my younger sister. I became the maid because I learned that if my mother had a really nice house, clean, whoops, uh, it was safe, and I would get the love that I wanted or needed. So I was made like that for years, years. As soon as I went home, I started cleaning house.
Hmm.
You
It's
know?
also almost like being a nurse too. If you're a good nurse, you do everything right and all this stuff, they'll like
Yeah.
you, you'll be appreciated. And yeah, similar.
I can relate to a lot of the things that Phyllis was sharing.
Yeah, like what does that mean? How is it that it relates to you personally?
Oh, many things. Subservient, cleaner, knows how to clean, takes care of things. Parents, even being, you know, um, my dad being Protestant, my mom being Catholic. There's this split. When you have that dynamic in the family, there's a split that takes place. The Protestant church doesn't accept the Catholic, which they didn't accept my mom, so they had to go and get married outside of the system that they were both from. So they went to my mom and dad got married in a different church based on that. So there's always this sense of not being accepted, and having to live a small life, being subservient.
Mhm.
Oh, so many things that she shared
Mhm.
I can relate to.
Yeah, a lot of women and maybe men too have some of the similar patterns of being want to please, do the best you can. You don't want to get hurt. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to be punished. So one of the things I was thinking too, it wasn't really coming from your church that said that you're bad, you're going to hell because you're Catholics, because you went to a Protestant churches and they were saying
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
it wasn't your church.
No, it wasn't our church. Um, but it was so like I said, we didn't have, we only had a parish priest. So, and my mother was Pentecostal. Well, we were raised Catholic,
Hmm.
My
Hmm.
father was very involved in the church.
Yeah.
And but I went to Sunday school with my friends, right? Like you do when you're a little girl, you or a
Hmm.
kid. You go to Sunday school, and because we weren't a lot of Catholics, they didn't think we had the same Bible as as everybody. Like they didn't. I don't know what their perception of us was, that we were evens a lot of times, and so
Right.
being called a dirty Roman was really really hard. And seeing my brother beat up, and so it was really hard. But that feeling I can remember the religious thing. I remember when I had my boys in 95 and 97. And of course, the year 2000 was coming up. And I remember in my mind thinking, I will only get to know my children until they're 5 and 3. It was so deep rooted. And I often ask myself, why didn't I go to my parents and talk about it? Do you know why I didn't? I figured out I didn't go talk to them about it or anybody else about it because I was afraid as a child that they would tell me it's true.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I never talked to anybody. I remember as an adult working as a nurse on night shift, and people get saying, "Oh, all this going on in the world, it's soon time, the world's soon going to end because it's so bad and blah blah blah." I remember I would get this, and I never understood it fully until I started doing this work. I would get this feeling of total fear and desperation inside me. and I would either make an excuse to get up and go check a patient, or I would change the subject.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't handle it, couldn't
Yeah.
handle any of it. So now to actually be able to go to church and feel love and comfort and read the Bible and not be scared. And
Very
you
good.
know, I've worked on all that stuff, and so I just healed incredibly. Just a couple weeks after finding Robert and tapping daily, like all day, sometimes if I could, I would tap. The MCS was subsiding, and so going to the store was quite a chore for me initially. So this day I thought, okay, I'm going to go to the store. I have two items on my list. I'm not going to wear a mask, and I'm going to walk out.
Hmm.
I needed to test it. And so I went. I didn't have the mask. I was mentally tapping. I had learned to mentally tap, constantly mentally tapping. Picked up my items. I went to the express checkout, and there was just one person in front of me. I thought, perfect, no big lineup. And then someone came in behind me. And then again, that trap feeling came.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
how can I escape? It was the same thing. And so then I tapped and tapped, but I paid for my two items, and I got in my car, and I cried. Because I could feel a difference in me, but I actually tested it and I wept. So I continued to work on it, and it was just non-existent. I mean, it was gone. The MCS was gone. I did not tap on specific chemicals. I tapped on, as I dug down deeper into what was happening to me, I tapped on my overreaction to life, my sensitivity to life and people in general. That's what I tapped on. Because a lot of people say, well, did you tap on laundry detergent? Did you? No. And I didn't know the way to do it right. I just kept listening to Robert, and I kept, what's really happening is not, it's from something from before, and so it was my overreaction to life. It had become so fear-based, and everything had been painful. Everything had become painful for me. And so when I kept, I released this sensitivity and this overreaction, I lovingly let it go, and it's gone, and it's never come back.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Never come back. It's 10 years. So this was November of 2014, and then by Christmas, like in November, the depression lifted, the anxiety lifted, my energy started coming back. I was starting to recognize myself in the mirror again, because I was in such a mess that my energy, I would some days take a shower and I would have to crawl back to my bed. That's how depleted I was. It was bad. I couldn't even tolerate sound or daylight some days. It was too much for me. So I healed at such an incredible rate because I just engulfed myself in tapping and Robert's methods, and used it constantly. I had reminders on the steering wheel of my car, post-it notes everywhere. And for Christmas, my husband and I ordered hiking boots, and we were hiking 5-kilometer trails, and I had no post-exertional fatigue.
Oh, very
None.
cool.
It was gone. And it was all from releasing. I was still eating the same things. I was still living in the same house. I was still, same, but I had changed so many memories and the way my body and my mind held it. It didn't affect me the same. The fear had subsided. And so I was able to go on. And it was miraculous to the point that a lot of people, because when you become a sick person, you become it becomes an identity. People identify you as, oh, she's sick, she has fibro. So a lot of friends, like going to the pain clinic, like I said, I met people that were in pain as well, like me. You create relationships because you have things in common. They did not believe that I was even sick to begin with.
Right.
A lot of people said, well, you couldn't have been sick because I've tried everything in the world, nothing's helped me, right?
Not everything.
Not everything. That's what I said. I would say to them, not everything. So yeah, it was incredible, and I just kept healing. I have several books full of happy memories, and I have continued to use this work. So that was November. I started that process. February, my husband put me on a plane to Oklahoma City by myself, and I went to level 1 training.
Yay, level 1.
The person that I was in November when I found Robert could not have even entertained leaving her house.
Mm-mm.
So if you become obsessed about it, you make it your daily thing, like waking up and having to use the washroom. Mm-hmm. Check in with yourself, see how you're feeling that day. Is there something happening in your life that is just, the reason people don't, I think, because I've seen it in myself sometimes, the reason people don't go and tap and deal with those emotions is because it's not easy. It's not hard. It's not, it's hard to go back to all these painful events, and heal, experience them again, but then you don't have to experience them anymore, but it's definitely worth the time.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things about the system I teach, it is a cool technique. It's a very powerful technique. You can go back and change stuff, you can fix stuff, but what I teach is this. This is a life skill you'll use until the day you die. It's emotional intelligence skill. It gives you the power to handle what's happening now. Mm-hmm. If you don't handle it now, if you don't address it now, it'll build into a problem or a program later.
Yeah.
So that is the most important thing is, and what I tell people, I said, listen, you're responsible for your emotional health and well-being today. I didn't tap on my trauma. I didn't know it was a trauma, rushing to the other gate, but it had an impact later on, and it reminded me, not knowing that it was that created it. So we must always emotionally regulate. Be aware of what you're going on. Be aware of what you're feeling and focusing on. But yeah, it's a daily thing. It's an emotional health process. It's intelligent people use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's you cannot heal anything without addressing the emotional piece. You can't heal anything. Every physical ailment has an emotional cause. Yeah. It's definitely. And I look at the medical system because that's where I came from, and it just wasn't there.
I just throw in a little monkey wrench in the whole thing. You're not sick. The illness seems to be an illness to us consciously, but to your unconscious brain, it is protection. It's keeping you safe. It's keeping you from getting hurt worse. It's afraid. And so it's manifesting it through your body. Your body changed as you changed the inner references and the programmings. You can look back. I mean, just listen to your story. You look back. A scared little girl built a scared little life. It compounded by watching brothers being beat up. It compounded by what you witnessed in the stories you may have heard from your mom and your dad. Your husband, the abuses, what he went through, he had abuses too. And then you get a job. And then, of course, you're dealing with death and dying and stress and efforts. All this is accumulation.
Yeah.
And the big cherry on top is that fibromyalgia, ME, lupus, Hashimoto's disease, chemical sensitivities. These are not failures. These are the brain manifesting physically to keep you safe. Now,
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense to us logically because logic doesn't solve or change memories. Knowing how to address your memories can change your body. Your body is an innocent servant. It's an expression. It's the voice of the unconscious mind. And
Mhm.
it catches our attention. And then we do something with that. If we say, oh my God, I'm terrible, I'm going to die, you start to feed the monster you said you didn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the bizarreness of it all.
And it's incredible, like once you get deep enough into this process of tapping and everything, I call my subconscious mind Stella. I'll say, hey, Stella, we're not going there today. We're not doing that. Or, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's really about, if you are persistent enough and you're willing to go back to those places, you will get results. Like I was doing it in my home alone with Robert on YouTube on my iPad. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I was seeing these people that Robert was talking to, and they were healing. I could see it visibly on the screen.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, let's go. And boy, I would hit some big watering holes.
Ooh, some scary monstery places.
Yeah, and I would stop the video and I would start tapping and I would get it all out. I
Yeah.
think I cried a river.
Yeah. Let me say this. If you're listening to this video and you're listening to Phyllis's story, it's a real story. It's a true story. And I know if you're like most people, you have a lot of stuff inside you and you're afraid. If you can't do it yourself, we can help you. I have practitioners I train, I do it. I have courses you can take. Don't think you can eat an elephant with one bite. Don't think you can change your problem with one round. It's going to be a journey. It's a journey inside of yourself. It's learning how to be your own best friend. It's learning how to make friends with that inner programming you have. And your brain is designed for protection. It's designed for survival. And it captured experiences. You can see her story, how it all accumulated this great skill of being scared, being afraid, being trapped, because it's familiarity. And the unconscious is going to keep you in a balanced state with your trainings and your programmings. Now, if you're tired of being sick and tired, there are ways. And the ways is to change how you represent your world inside. Of course, you can heal yourself. Jesus said, physicians, go heal yourself. He's not talking about doctors. He's talking about you. And if you actually go back and look, he's talking about the mind. If what you see, if your eyes cause you to stumble, pluck it out. He's not talking about eyeballs. If what you see inside you causes you pain and problem and issues, get it out, change it, adjust it. This is the real neuroplasticity of the mind. He was a master of the mind too. He told parables. People just didn't get it. But the truth is, learn to be the master of your own life. The kingdom of heaven is in your heart, in your mind. The kingdom of hell is in the same place. It all depends on what kind of furniture you keep within yourself. It's your memories. And if you have the hell within you, all the crappy things, the horrible things, the nasty things, and they're all sitting inside your temple, you're going to be squealing like a pig and wish you could find a way out. So you got to learn to be the master of your own thoughts, master of your own head. And that's why they say, know thyself. It's not your name. It's know what you have within yourself. Make peace within yourself. So I know it's kind of scary, and some people have been through a lot of stuff, a lot of traumas. And that's not a good bus driver. You need to kick that bus driver and all the memories it has within you and take ownership. Phyllis has what do you say, Stella?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stella.
It's the inner world. It's the unconscious. It's the great divine within, the manifester, the producer. And again, you'll always produce based on what's inside. Of course, the law of attraction says you attract from what you have within yourself. It's not what you're trying to put in, it's what's already inside. If you don't like what's inside, you got to change what's in there. So I do recommend, guys, I know it's scary, but it doesn't matter where you go. That stuff goes with you. If you change it, it's not there. You know it was there, but it's not there. It doesn't control you. So that's the power of knowing how to change yourself. I've been watching you, Phyllis, over the years, and I can see your progression. And of course, you have an amazing husband, great guy. And this is really amazing to have you share this story. It's a good one. It's a really good one. There's a lot of them have the same story. And the cool thing is, it's been 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's not knocking on your door because there's no one inside that knows that person.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. And sometimes I totally forget that I was ever sick, like you just don't remember it sometimes. But looking back on if I hadn't found you, Robert, I don't think I would be here now.
Mm-mm. I've heard that story a million times too.
I don't think I would be here. And I've had an incredible 10 years. I've got to experience so much, and I'm in such a great place.
Yeah, another thing I find really interesting about your life, here you are, you're trapped in your home. No one can come and see you and you can't leave.
Mm-hmm.
And when all the crazy stuff with COVID, guess where Phyllis went?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go, Phyllis? Tell us about that.
I know, right? Yeah, during COVID and all the masks, and I was like, I rarely wore one, I have to tell you.
No, that's all right.
I really didn't wear one. And during COVID actually is when we actually moved to Mexico. We decided to retire early and we moved here, sold everything in Canada, and here we are 4 years later. So
And the life you're living now, oh my God, it's totally different.
incredible. I'm on the beach whenever I want. The beach is my place. Oh my gosh. Once my feet hit the sand and my feet are in the water, and yeah, I love it. It's a much slower, relaxed life if you want it to be. It can be crazy as well. We do a lot of, like with our church here, we do a lot of volunteering. And one of the things that's just so dear to my heart, I'm helping a lot of single moms, and things like that, and single moms and kids volunteering. So I really love that. So I'm giving back, and yeah, so thank you, Robert. It's been quite a journey. Wasn't an easy one, but my gosh, it was worth taking.
Oh yeah, just like you said, had you not found the work, had you, it's not finding it, guys, you found the work right here. This is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference that made a difference is Phyllis worked it in her life. She worked it, And again, seek truth and take this truth and make it wisdom. How do you make it wisdom? You use it, you apply it, you live it. This is the key, And of course, I look at your videos and I look at the food. Oh my God, I would love to go. I'm gonna have to come and visit you. I'll tell you that.
You should come. You should come visit. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We've the culture, everything here. We just love it. The people, everything. It's wonderful.
So, Phyllis, what would you say to a listener that is stumbling upon this podcast? They've just listened to you share the suffering that you experienced, and now they're experiencing the same things. What would you want to say to them?
Go right now and sign up and learn how to tap, get yourself a practitioner to help you. And and I found that I worked with lots of practitioners once I realized that I knew what was happening, but learning to tap on yourself is very in between your sessions. You have to keep doing the work. You can't just expect to go have a session and someone heal you and everything's going to be good, because there's layers. So keep at it, keep going. You can do it. I am no different than anybody. I'm a human being on this earth, just like all you guys. Go do it. It is the best thing I have learned, and I pass it on to everybody I meet.
Very good.
Well, one thing I've definitely learned from you is persistence. You are a determined woman. So,
Yes.
and that's what you've done, and the results are there because of it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I was in a point of desperation. I think it would be great if people I think this should be taught in schools to children.
Oh yeah.
I think people should not get to the point of desperation to use this skill. But sadly, that's the way our society is. And
Yeah.
maybe it'll change over time, I don't know, but children should really know how to use this as well. And you know, it's not for everybody. People in my family still don't believe that I healed myself dealing with emotions. It's true. People still don't get it that what healed you? Oh, Phil, you know, you eat so, because I still eat really well. I still believe it's so important to take care of this temple we have, right? So we eat well, we exercise, we do the good things. But if you do not take care of the emotional piece, you are missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another thing too, sometimes there's a kind of like a misnomer or a really using tapping. Tapping won't solve your problems, but using the tapping skill to change the real problem, which is memories. How
Yes.
you process, how you feel things, how you see things. That's the key. Changing how you represent what's inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And being able to forgive. I
Yeah.
love that the forgiveness piece in Eutactics is incredible. Being able to forgive all the hurts, all the pains, all the everything, that is so like right there with, the preachings of Jesus, right?
Exactly.
I remember my 10-year marriage, my first marriage was so abusive and so traumatic for me. And after, I think before Christmas, before I came to see you in Oklahoma, Robert, I wanted to tackle my marriage and I couldn't do it by myself. I was afraid to do it by myself because it was so much. So I wrote down, I must have had 4 or 5 pages, and I went to my friend, Jason Conde. I don't know if you remember Jason. He's
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, went to see Jason, and it was December 12th, and I gave him my sheets, and we went into it, had a great session. And then for Christmas, my husband gave me a journal. I wanted to journal my process, not just a happy journal, but journal how I started and everything. So I started doing that. And I knew on my calendar I had gone to see Jason on the 12th. And I had zero recollection as to why I even went. And to this day, I don't I have not had any malice or hard feelings toward my ex-husband since.
Mm-hmm.
When pertaining to me, right? Because of my children, sometimes yes, things come up. But I have total forgiveness. He has been one of my biggest teachers. I thank him every day for the way he treated me because it forced me to go take a deeper look at myself.
Exactly.
Thank
Exactly.
you. And I've told my son, one of my sons is deep into emotional well-being, and he's struggling with a lot of emotions right now. And I said to him, you know what? You will get to a point soon that you will thank your dad for
Mm-hmm.
all of this pain that you have had to deeply go in. I said, I know you can't see that now, but you will.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things, when we talk about forgiveness, there is, of course, I teach ultimate forgiveness, and ultimate forgiveness is very simple. Change every bad memory inside you that you held against them. They don't get free. You set yourself free.
Yes.
This is your poison that takes you down a miserable path. You clean it up from within and you're free. And relationships will shift and change because of you. So, yeah. So knowing how to change memories, make peace with the memories within.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And by the
It's
way,
all,
that is the number one teachings of Jesus too. Number one.
yeah, it's all a gift.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Good job. Well, it's been so great, Phyllis. I'm very honored that you came back, and it's so cool to see you. You look great.
Thank you.
Especially for an old woman, look at you. You don't look like an old woman. I
I
guarantee,
don't feel like an old woman.
I mean, we both are the same age, close to the same age, but
Yeah,
it's emotional health is the true youth. It's the
absolutely.
fountain of youth.
So, if you've been struggling and you're not sure what step to take next, Robert offers a free strategy call. We will help you get crystal clear on how to move forward. We will create a roadmap for you to help you start seeing real change in your life. And you really do deserve results.
And also, guys, do sign up, check, subscribe, ring the bell. I got lots of stuff everywhere. I have little, podcasts. I've got videos. I got trainings, free stuff. Just do something, move forward and create a better life. So learn to love yourself, like yourself from inside yourself, because what you do up here, you do to others. When you set yourself free, you become truly free to be the real you, which is just a creator and a manifester. Create something you want instead of what you don't want. Make peace with your head.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm in such a good place and I'm so grateful. And but you can learn about it, but if you don't apply it, it doesn't matter.
No, no,
So
no. So you've the fountain of youth is making peace with your head.
yeah. Yeah.
And I've seen people 10 years younger look 10 years older than me because they have no emotional coping skills. And you think about logically, the emotional wounds and experiences that has been captured, those are what's destroying your health. Those are what's creating anxiety in your world. So if you make peace with your head, you'll live longer, you'll be happier, and life will just be good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm very grateful. Very,
Thank
very
you.
grateful. Thank you, Robert.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
So if you've been struggling and you're not sure what step to take next, Robert offers a free strategy call. We will help you get crystal clear on how to move forward. We will create a roadmap for you to help you start seeing real change in your life. And you really do deserve results.
And also, guys, do sign up, check, subscribe, ring the bell. I've got lots of stuff everywhere. I have little, podcasts. I've got videos. I got training, free stuff. Just do something, move forward and create a better life. So learn to love yourself, like yourself from inside yourself, because what you do up here, you do to others. When you set yourself free, you become truly free to be the real you, which is just a creator and a manifester. Create something you want instead of what you don't want. Make peace with your head.
That's right. So thank you. Yes, thanks again for joining us on another episode of the Robert Jean Experience. Remember to subscribe to the podcast, stay up to date with every episode. Each week we answer the questions that you've been asking about your health, your life. We share wisdom, insights, practical guidance to help you move forward and finally create lasting change that you deserve.
Yes, and peace. Thank you, guys.
Peace. So then you talked about all those stories that little kid like that were taught. It's normal for kids to learn these stories. What are we supposed to do with the stories?
Well, the stories, you don't tell the stories.
Well, yeah, but what do you do once you're already told the stories? And
You got to go
kids
change the
are always
stories.
going to watch the movies.
Yeah, you got to go change. By the way, if you ever notice TV shows, they always got this drama, this problem, the evil versus good. It creates
Yes.
scared. We're conditioned to be scared little kids,
Wow. Wow.
And then you wonder why you have relationship problems.
I can see. I can see why.
The world is conditioning you.
Wow.
So turn that thing off.
Hmm?
Don't turn that TV off.
Yeah, I love Cinderella though. Love that movie because at the end she wins and she forgives.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's the scary parts of the beginning that motivates people. And you're like a little Cinderella too.
Yeah,
You live in fairyland, but we know what's behind the curtain.
Mhm.
The wicked little witch. The scary stories that drive you.
Oh.
But they can be changed, and you're doing it.
Yep.
You
That's
still got to book your sessions so we can clean up some of those other things. So
yeah. Well, I grew up with a witch. Not an actual witch, but my mom, she used to tell us, there's a witch that governs the pond, and that was her way of keeping us away from the pond. But that's her way of teaching us. Everything was fear-based.
yeah. And religion's a fear base.
Yes. It was the same thing after growing up that way, leaving my parents, going to religion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same
I
thing.
remember this one little girl said, "I'm not going to your church anymore." She said, "Why?" Because all you do is talk about the devil.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's a good one. As soon as someone starts talking about the devil a lot, I mean, there's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's manipulation. So.